Hey everybody, welcome to Visual Communication and Media. My name is Adam Rozeski. It's a pleasure to see each and every one of you. Hope everybody's having a great week. Welcome to Friday. Before we start our first weekend technically, just give everybody a heads up, some announcements coming up. Do keep in mind, you need to have your discussions finished up by the end of the night, Saturday night. And then Sunday night, you'll need to post your live lecture assignments and your written assignments. Please double check the Teams page for lecture material slides and recordings in the file section. You should have an example of the assignment sitting right there. Also, please take a look at the end of my lecture again if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and we can go from there. For any of the assignments, I always go over the assignments at the end of the lecture and then double check to make sure that you're doing the live lecture assignment as well. But other than that, I figured I'd finish our lecture material and just with the last piece of information that's going to help you with your assignment this week. So we talked about sensory responses in the history of visual communication, but as we talked about visuals that triggered positive sensory responses, focusing on nonverbal communication, color, and balance, we didn't finish the last portion, which is about lines. And lines is really huge because depending on the type of line you use, can help direct eye movement or emphasize certain points depending on what you're trying to do, or tie into the theming of the image to really make it more attractable or much more aesthetically pleasing in a lot of ways. And lines have a lot of things. Like I said, lines are the basic forms of visual communication. It directs the flow of content. They divide space. And each type of line can represent a type of mood or a different type of sense. For example, when you have straight lines that are consistent and traditional in their spacing, they tend to show an impression of strictness and rigidity. Now, a lot of times it doesn't show flexibility, which is a problem, but they do showcase trust and organization because you'll get consistency out of them, and that's really key. And you don't have to change movement or have people try to learn new visual types all the time. What you're going to get is what you're going to get. And if you want people to not really try to focus on certain things or learn new concepts and you want to keep it consistent if possible, straight lines are great. Now, curved lines are a little bit different. They show playfulness and grace. They tend to be a lot more flexible because you can bend them in different ways and change them depending on the material that you're using. However, they are trustworthy as well because they put people at ease and they can know, okay, I can have a little bit of fun. They feel like they're giving a fun impression off this or a really creative spin off it. Curved lines are great. They are much more for artistic personality and different design types to show off different areas. And they like to keep it simplistic in a lot of ways, but you don't have to be as consistent here. You can have a little bit more fun with curved lines. Now, diagonal lines are awesome, and when you take a look at diagonal lines, they're pleasant and stimulating to the eye. They help direct the viewer's line moves. You tend to see diagonal lines move towards certain areas for people to visually see. However, like this image I have here on the right, using too many can cause confusion and tension. So if you put a lot of diagonal lines together real close, it's going to stress the eye out, and you got to be careful about that. However, we tend to see curved diagonal lines focused on promoting exciting events or specific areas or trying to be used in marketing to direct people to look at these certain things, and that's what's really important. So make sure you don't space them close together, but if you use them appropriately and spaced out properly, they're great for directional movement. Now, thick dark lines are a little bit different here in the bottom right. They're meant for boldness. They're used for confidence and strength. They're meant for groups to appear successful. So this is what's showing when you see thick, bold lines, they're either promoting super events or movies or anything that's meant to showcase like, hey, we're super awesome, you should use us or check us out or anything like this because we're confident enough to pull this off. And that's what really matters. They showcase confidence. Now, there's also thin light lines. These are a little bit different, and they can kind of tie into curved lines or straight lines. It doesn't matter as long as they're thin and light. They're meant for delicacy and gentleness. They're meant for organization, but they're not overbearing to look at, and we tend to see people and companies use these in like beauty, sorry, my apologies for the brain pause. Beauty products, different types of clothing lines. They're meant to showcase attraction and aesthetics, but more from a beauty aspect rather than from a confident aspect. Now, group lines are a little different. When we tend to see group lines that are in like sections that show off like data tables and different types of numbers and facts, they're meant for exploration because they're used to showcase data easily. And we can take a look and see the correlations on how the tables are built because of these grouped lines for the fact that we can see the numbers better. And they're meant to showcase trust because when people show group lines with numbers and data and examples, we think these people are pulling off facts. And then we got, okay, so they have the research to back this up. We should trust these people as well. That's where we tend to see group lines a lot, to showcase those numbers and to organize that data in a lot of different ways. But other than that, that's all I got. So I just want to show off some different examples of lines and how they're used and the response types behind them. But other than that, this should help you out with your assignment. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Other than that, be safe, have fun, enjoy. Hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll be checking throughout the weekend to see if everybody's doing okay. Keep in mind about the due dates. You can check them out on the calendar or on the assignments as well when you see the content. Any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. If you want to take a look, you want me to take a look at something early on, I can totally do that. Please make sure to give detail and examples, and make sure on your written assignment that you're not using the images to hit your 2 pages, okay? I'd like to see 2 pages of written content in APA format. But that's, again, I just want to give you guys a couple of little bit reminders and go from there. But thank you for being awesome. Enjoy the weekend. Hope to see everybody for lecture on Monday. Keep in mind, Monday, I'll post the lecture link on Sunday, so you have that day in the announcements. But other than that, be safe, have fun, enjoy. Enjoy the weekend. Take it easy. I'll see y'all on Monday. Bye-bye.